Caitlin Clark being embraced by Diana Taurasi after the Fever beat the Mercury in that game and they played each other was one of the coolest moments of the WNBA season.
Remember when Diana Taurasi said Caitlin Clark would get a reality check in the WNBA? Well, guess who's cashing that check now? Clark just dropped a bombshell in her Nike interview that has Taurasi looking like she's the one who needs a wake-up call when asked about her favorite matchup this season. Clark didn't hesitate to name Reed herself. That's right, the rookie picked the so-called GOAT as her favorite person to play against. Wonder why? Maybe because every time they meet, Clark walks away with TRs, dignity in her back pocket. The numbers don't lie, and we're about to show you exactly how Clark flipped the script on women's basketball's most outspoken legend.
Well, I cannot believe we are fixing to have a talk about this particular player in the WNBA because I thought she was supposed to be gone.
Reality check. Those two words from Diana Taurasi became the storyline that defined Caitlin Clark's rookie season. Before it even began, remember when the WNBA legend decided to put the college phenom in her place. Taurasi wasn't so about it. Either she basically warned Clark that life in the pros will humble her, that her Iowa heroics wouldn't translate to the WNBA. It was a classic veteran move, trying to establish dominance before the rookie even stepped on the court.
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it. You look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time. But there is going to be a transition period where you're going to have to give yourself some grace as a rookie, and it might take a little bit longer for some people.
What happens when a reality check bounces back on the person who issued it? That's exactly what we witnessed this season when Clark and Taurasi finally faced off. Something unexpected happened. The rookie didn't shrink under the bright lights or wilt under pressure facing a legend. Instead, Clark stepped onto that court with the confidence of someone who absolutely belonged there.
So it is extremely difficult, just one, not only physically, but also mentally staying in it.
Go against another team here. They've been chopping at the bit. It's Taurasi, what a spin. Taurasi a finish.
Man.
A 20-year veteran, Diana Taurasi, dialing back. And
the numbers don't lie, and they tell an embarrassing story for Taurasi. In their head-to-head matchups, Clark dominated in practically every statistical category: points, assist, efficiency. You name it, Clark was better. This wasn't just a rookie holding her own. This was a rookie making a statement against one of the greatest to ever play the game.
Obviously, a lot was made of this matchup between yourself and Diana Taurasi. I know she's one of your idols. How big is it for you to get a win here against her today?
I'm just happy we won. It was cool to play against her, and obviously a really great game. And like you said, this crowd was absolutely incredible.
Did you see how Toss' entire demeanor shifted as these matchups progressed? At first, there was that confident swagger we've seen for decades, a look that says, I've seen rookies come and go. But as Clark continued to excel, that confidence transformed into visible frustration. The veteran's body language told the whole story. She wasn't just losing the battle on the stat sheet. She was losing the psychological edge that had defined her career.
Why did that matter? Because she made the whole reality is coming comments, and she was also and is also maybe the, biggest figure in the history of the sport, certainly in that conversation, right? And when she said the reality is coming thing, that kind of became the mantra to Clark's rookie season.
What made this power shift so fascinating was watching the hunter become the hunted. Basketball analysts pointed out something remarkable. Clark wasn't just surviving against Taurasi. She was actively hunting her down during their matchups. Think about that for a second. The rookie was targeting the legend, not the other way around. The basketball world could hardly believe what they were seeing.
It's kind of like when you go from kindergarten to first grade, there's a learning adjustment. When you go from high school to college, there's a learning adjustment. I don't think I said anything that wasn't factually correct. And like anything, greatness is going to translate. And she's proven that in every level. And I don't see it being any different in the WNBA.
Even Taurasi herself had to acknowledge what was happening. After one particularly dominant performance by Clark, Taurasi admitted, it's amazing what Caitlin's been able to do in a short career. So far, it's been nothing short of remarkable coming from someone who rarely gives credit easily. That statement speaks volumes about how completely the tables had turned.
What Caitlin's been able to do in her short career so far has just been nothing short of remarkable.
Just when you thought this rivalry couldn't get any spicier, Caitlin Clark decided to pour gasoline on a fire. In what seemed like an innocent Nike promotional video, Clark was asked a simple question that could have been answered a dozen different ways. Instead, she chose violence. And her answer about her favorite matchup has Diana reaching for the ice pack all over again.
In your career, you got to match up against other Nike hoopers. Do you have a favorite matchup?
You're going to get me in trouble. Honestly, I'll just say DT because she's such an icon in our sport and has been in the game for so long. You know, getting to share the court with her was pretty fun, and you just see her competitive spirit. Even though you're not on her team, you can just feel it as a competitor.
Did you catch that Clark sitting there when she's asked which Nike athlete was her favorite matchup in the 2024 season? She could have played it safe. She could have named Angel Reese and leaned into their well-documented history. She could have picked Al Wilson, the league MVP. But no, Clark knew exactly what she wanted to say.
Clark has made some remarks about Diana Taurasi, and it seems the one player she had the most fun taking to the woodshed, and who could blame her after the there's going to be a reality check. Yeah, you're right. You got swept by the rookie, destroyed, obliterated. Caitlin Clark made some comments, and she has come out and said, basically, crushing Diana Taurasi was her favorite part of last year.
They're going to get me in trouble, she said with that slight hesitation that tells you something juicy is coming. And then she dropped a DT, just 2 letters that speak volumes about who Clark had in her crosshairs all season long.
What she said, we all remember it. There's going to be a transition period. There's going to be a reality check. Yada, yada, yada. All right? Caitlin Clark ultimately got the last laugh over Taurasi. The 23-year-old still made sure to pay respects to one of the league's most decorated players.
But it's how she said it that really tells the story when Clark mentioned Taurasi as an icon in our sport. She wasn't just paying lip service to genius. Is in what happened next, Clark specifically praised Taz's competitive spirit on the surface. That sounds like respect, right? But dig deeper, and you'll see the masterful shade. Clark wasn't just acknowledging Terry's fire. She was subtly implying that she had faced that legendary competitive spirit and come out on top.
As you're going to get to Caitlin Clark saying, I loved obliterating her and turning her into particles and dust. I mean, seriously. And we know how Taurasi came back, tried to back off her comments after she got the crap handed to her by Caitlin Clark on multiple occasions.
You can see it in Clark's body language throughout the interval. That slight smile isn't just politeness. It's the confident expression of someone who knows exactly what she accomplished. Clark didn't need to beat her chest or talk trash. That small smile said everything. I went up against the so-called Go AT, and I won.
Reality checked. Yeah. She got a dose of her own medicine real fast, did she not? Talked all that trash. All of that trash. That didn't work out very well for you at all.
This wasn't just another rookie praising a veteran. This was Clark staking her claim by singling out Taurasi as her favorite matchup. She was effectively saying, I didn't just arrive in this league. I conquered a mountain. And Nike knew exactly what they were doing by creating this moment. Their marketing team is already positioning Clark as the new face of women's basketball transition that's happening faster than anyone expected.
And, of course, no one has more gravitas in the space than Taurasi. But when Taurasi sort of, deaded all that and embraced Clark, it felt like the moment a lot of the tensions would break down. Of course, that wasn't completely the case, as we've seen. But in that moment, it did feel like, all right, you've made it. You've earned it, right? Like, you've shown it. There's no fronting.
What makes this even more fascinating is the broader context. The Nike campaign featuring has been generating massive buzz with fans showing unprecedented excitement about her promotion. Clark doesn't need heavy promotion anymore. Her performances and these calculated moments of boldness speak for themselves. She's not just playing basketball, she's playing chess with her public image.
Certainly felt that way. And therefore, it was interesting to hear Caitlin Clark talk about Taurasi. Maybe it's because it's just been so long. I'm sure she talked about it at the time, but I don't remember the specific comments. This came as part of a Nike campaign. It wasn't some huge sit down or bare all interview from Caitlin Clark, but nonetheless, it was.
When you look closely at how Clark framed her comments about Taurasi within a narrative of respect, but with that undercurrent of I've arrived, you're watching a perfect example of how to claim your throne without seeming disrespectful Clark, is establishing herself as a dominant force while still acknowledging the path to Rossi paved.
But you could see, there's respect from Caitlin Clark there, and I'm sure Caitlin Clark is competitive playing Fortnite, just like she was competitive going back and forth with Diana Taurasi.
The throne Clark is claiming is not just a seat at the table anymore, just at eve we're witnessing a complete palace takeover that's reshaping women's basketball. As we know it, when's the last time you saw viewership numbers spike this dramatically for a rookie? While Toss Mercury struggled to fill seats arenas, hosting Clark games needed overflow sections. And that shift in fan attention is only the most visible sign of a power trans that's happening whether the old guard likes it or not.
It's very interesting that all of a sudden a player that was supposed to, Diana Taurasi is supposed to retire, right? The old dinosaur is supposed to retire. Well, now you have outlets talking about landing spots for Diana Taurasi. Wait, come again?
For nearly 2 decades, Diana Taurasi ruled women's basketball with an iron will. And a lethal jump shot championships, gold medals, individual accolades, she collected them all, but at 42, even a mighty fall. And what makes the situation so unprecedented isn't just Clark's talent, it's the speed at which she's claiming Toss throne.
Oh boy. However, Taurasi still has gas left in the tank. Does she? Has she put up 14.9 points a game, 3.8 and 3.4 assists, 2.4 three-pointers per game at 42 years old? Taurasi played in 36 of 40 games last season, and several teams would be fortunate to have her on the roster.
Have you noticed how teams are looking at Taurasi these days despite averaging 14? 9 points last season, still impressive at her age. The whispers around the league aren't about Taurasi the scorer anymore. They're about Taurasi the mentor, the teacher, the sage veteran who can show younger players the ropes. And if that doesn't scream your era is ending, I don't know what does.
At a fellow UConn legend might be the only way to convince Beckers to play in Dallas. She could mentor her and bridge the new era for the team. Yikes. Would Taurasi come on as a mentor? Would she want to do that?
The Dallas wing situation perfectly illustrates this new reality. Why would they want Taurasi not? Because she's going to lead them to a championship as their star player. They want her to help develop their young core. Can you imagine putting Taurasi in a locker room with fiery personalities like Jai Carrington and Nelissa Smith? That environment would be absolute chaos, but it would also be a masterclass for those young players on what it takes to succeed in this league.
Dallas jersey. Do we see that? Check this out. If she went to the Dallas Wings, it would be Dejanay Carrington, Nelissa Smith, and Diana Taurasi all on the same team in the same locker room. But get a gas can and just burn that locker room to the ground, because that would be the most toxic locker room in the league. Ooh. And that would make for some very interesting games against the Fever.
Remember when veterans got to decide when they were done, when they controlled their own narrative right through retirement? Those days are gone. Clark's meteoric rise isn't just changing who watches, forcing a fundamental shift in how the entire WNBA operates. The focus isn't on preserving legacies anymore, it's on building new ones. And that's a tough pill for any legend to swallow.
I want to play every single coach, every single player, every single person that's put on a WNBA jersey, because it takes the village for everyone who played before this league and where it is now. We're thankful for you guys. We're thankful for the next generation, Taurasi said on September 20th.
The experts see it too. What we're watching isn't just about skills declining with age. That's natural and happens to everyone. No. This is about a seismic shift in what propels women's basketball forward. Youth marketability and fresh energy are becoming the currency that matters most, and Clark has all three in abundance.
You know, a lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
Clip 22. And let's be honest, this isn't the orderly, respectful torch-passing ceremony sports often pretend to care about. This is a torch being yanked away before Taurasi was ready to let it go. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, and it's absolutely riveting to watch. Clark isn't waiting her turn or asking for permission. She's taking what she believes is already hers.
The thing about Clark, she doesn't even need to be promoted. She just doesn't need to be crapped on. The problem is when she's crapped on. Anything is promotion of her. She can appear anywhere and it blows up. I guarantee you the views for that commercial are their highest from the series, or the cut up pieces from the commercial. I have no doubt in my mind.
Look, I don't know about you guys, although I got to admit, there's a selfish part of me that would love to see Caitlin Clark just run over Diana Taurasi again, like 2 or 3 more times this year. I mean, yeah, that would bring a smile to my face.